Jacob, there's two things I love in this world: good content and good clothes. And Elite Sports is helping us do both of them. Not only do they help support the podcast, but they have really cool gear for local Bobcats.
They're developing these athletes' own brand, and every time you make a purchase over there, you put money right back into student athletes' pockets. It's a pretty sick business model.
It's a great business model. NIL is really helping these athletes. You can use code SQUARE right now on Elite Sports to buy all of your favorite Texas State athlete gear and help support the podcast.
Help support the podcast. Help support the Bobcats. Bobcast? Question mark. Oh. Elite Sports. Use code SQUARE.
Tired of winning the tailgate but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squarin' Around with Jacob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Squaring Around. I'm Jacob Rodriguez. That's Andrew Zimmel, the Texas State Sports Prez. This is a show where we talk about everything Texas State on the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football Podcasting Network. How's it going, everybody? Zimmel, I was thinking about this, actually. You know how they say, history is, always written by the winners? Not if you have a podcast, because Texas State really shouldn't be in this atmosphere. But we're giving them the same amount of attention other shows would.
You know what's funny? No, we're giving them more attention than other shows should. It's funny that you say that, though. I never even really put that two and two together. Victory is won by, or history is written by the victors. Now it's written by guys that got nothing better to do than podcasts.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like bums in their basement. It's like, actually, you know what? If you go back and look at that SMU loss last year, it's kind of like that. I like it.
Speaking of SMU, former tight end, the former guy who Spav was like, this is the guy who could be our guy in the NFL in 5 years. Micah Hiltz just got an offer from SMU. The thing I'll never tweet about really will be commits, I think, because it's like, who cares? I don't care. I had a commitment one time that was like, blessed to receive blank offer from Prairie View A&M. It was for an ROTC scholarship, so kind of the different world.
I was going to say it's not the same thing at all. In fact, I'd argue that it's a completely different world.
Super lame, actually, in comparison.
The commitment thing is interesting. I am of the same vein. I don't like the 5-star, the 4-star stuff. I care more about what you do when you're at the campus, when you're on campus, when you're doing stuff. That's what really matters. But hey, NFL draft shows us that if you're a 5-star commit, you're probably going to go straight to the NFL. You're probably going to get drafted. So if Texas State ever one day does end up with a 5-star, the Andrew Zimmel Jr., that's going to be an incredible left tackle, 5-star left tackle, 24/7 Sports, book it. When that happens, we're good to go. But, for the most part, we're going to end up with the 3-star, the 2-star, the undrafted free agents who have to work their way onto teams.
Well, we'll get to that, actually, in this episode. So I want to set this up. So I think this week we're kind of really putting a big bow on football, I feel like we had kind of like a spring hangover episode last week on our main channel. And this week, it's really kind of the impact of the transfer portal as a whole. Everybody was all fun and dandy. Hashtag take back Texas. And now it's like, hey, I might not get playing time next year. So we're in the portal. I think the Bobcats have lost 12 guys in the portal this year.
Which, all things considered, isn't terrible. We've talked about it a little bit last week. We've mentioned it a couple times. There's a lot of other programs around the country that are dealing with the transfer portal a lot different ways, right? And Steve Sarkisian up the road, he famously said on a different podcast, he was talking about how the rule at Texas is that if you enter the transfer portal, you're not coming back. It's one of those, if you want to leave, you're not coming back here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. I think that's interesting. I think Texas State only losing 12 guys to the portal thus far is not the end of the world. We went through some of the names. We'll go through some of the names. None of the guys, good luck to your next spot. I hope you get a good education. I hope you get good playing time, make an impact at your next school. But none of these guys were going to be guys that are swinging losses and wins for the most part. You agree?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I felt the whole time. It's like, oh, I'm out. Like all these portal drops. Some of them are more sad than others. I think. Like it's like I wish we could have kept this guy. I wish could have.
Well,
I
it's
wish
like,
everybody could go to Texas State. To be honest, like that's like my dream for the entire world.
well, the thing is too is like, we're losing guys to the portal, but at a very smaller rate than other schools, right? Like, and then granted, you're comparing yourself to SMU, to Colorado, to Texas. Like, those schools seem to be bleeding guys, whereas Texas State, I think, for the most part, people go there and they like to stay there. So, which is good, which is really good. Ironically enough, we're Texas State podcast. There's a basketball player that goes to North Dakota State. Jacob, I don't know if you know this guy's name, Grant Nelson. He was on a couple of ESPN highlight packages. People up here really love the guy. I told him he's not getting drafted at NDSU for basketball. He is transferring. So he's the best basketball player maybe ever. And he's deciding to leave NDSU. So it's like Texas State doesn't have that problem. Texas State football players, for the most part, like to come, enjoy the river, enjoy the community, and stay there, which is good.
So I guess let's start with updating our roster. Because if 36 signees, I think that's where we got to last time with Colton, and because or whatever transfer portal dates, basically, we have a bunch of commits basically sitting in queue. And then all the while, we're recording this on Tuesday, so these numbers may change. 13 guys in the portal at the moment from Texas State. So I guess 36 compared to 13, not too bad, And then you're going to bring in guys from the summer.
36 guys coming in versus 13 guys going out.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I feel like that's where you kind of want to be. You want to be a net positive. We're a net positive.
Yeah, that'd be crazy if we lost more with a roster as big as a football roster.
Well, you say that, but that happens. Other places are kind of dealing with that turnover, and it's nice that for the most part, Kinney is in his GJ Kinney is in his first year of Texas State. Hasn't even played the game yet. It's nice that in your first year you're not having a bunch of guys leave. The interesting part is next year at this time, what those numbers look like. Because if a bunch of people leave after year one, that to me is like, culture building. What's the story? But hasn't played a game, new staff, new coaching staff and everything. Like, I'm not buying too much into it. I'm not reading too much into it.
I said we weren't going to talk about commits. We're literally talking about commits now. So the first one I want to talk about is Davon Martin, the DB from Tyler Junior College. I don't know if he's still committed to Texas State because I think he deleted his original Texas State picture shoot post.
His photo shoot.
So I DM'd him because he's not a Texas State athlete. So I'm not, I don't care about those rules because he doesn't apply to him yet. Didn't get anything back, so we'll see. But he's got a bunch of offers. I think the last one was from UAB, from some other schools. So he's got some options, I guess.
When you go through the options, where do you...
And also Texas State has apparently 9 or 10 DBs now, so...
Which is good. We need everybody we can get. When you go through those as a fan, when you see so-and-so offered by this, you rank them in your head. You go okay, Texas State greater than ULM, less than Oklahoma. You know what I mean? Do you go through and go oh, maybe we get this guy?
Well, I guess coming from me, it's different as an alum, as someone who loves Texas State, because I'm first choice. What are you talking about? And then if I look at the numbers, these guys should, with the NIL, with wanting to make an impact, with wanting to move on to the next level potentially, it's you got to go with the best show you can. So it's all about getting into the right offense and stuff. I just started playing MLB The Show and Madden 22 thanks to a PlayStation sale. And it's all about fitting in the right offensive scheme, man.
Well, that's true. You're not wrong there. You're not wrong there. I do rank them in my head as well. I look at it and I go, okay, if Texas State is with a bunch of FCS programs or with a bunch of other, let's say, bottom tier Conference USA teams, I'll go okay, I think we can get this guy. But every time, once in a while, Texas State will end up on the same graphic as U of H, Texas, and you're oh, I don't know how I like this. But, again, year one with Kenny, things could be different. He can make a really good sales pitch. And when that happens, I'll be there. But until then, I'm kind of no, I hope we get this guy. But I'm concerned because we might be the third option.
Well, good recruiting, I guess, can also be a curse because, DJ was OC, head coach, UIW, all these other places. And he's always been known as a very good recruiter. But because his name hasn't been in those shining lights until right now, Texas State dusting off those shining lights, to shine onto him. Now people are paying a lot more attention, I think, to
When
Texas
you
State
say
recruits
that,
than they
who
have.
says that he's a good recruiter?
Hmm?
Why
I
do
mean,
you
look
say
at
he's a
what
good
we've gotten.
recruiter?
We've gotten 2 5-star recruits, actually.
But so that's what you're going off of?
Yeah, just based on like this recruiting class is leagues ahead of anything that's been produced.
That's fair. I just was thinking overall, I'm like, does he fit into that like good recruiter? Like for the
No, I
state
mean,
of
I
Texas,
think
like
like we're on the right track because we've had
okay.
guys like um, Cedric Roberts, Taylor Starling. Those two didn't work out for us for different reasons. Taylor Starling was a South Oak Cliff commit. South Oak Cliff is literally, I think their hashtag was like the Mecca or something this year. Like everybody was going there to go recruit. That's a really fun hashtag. But it also just shows like the dominance of like the DFW Fort Worth area of Texas high school football. Um, so I mean, like we're on the right trail with a lot of these guys, and then we get some surprises. Like the next guy I want to talk about, Carson Kaiser, the quarterback from New Mexico State, who announced his commitment just a couple of days ago.
Which we talked to the football quarterbacks a couple 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. We were talking about like the quarterback battles. This throws a wrench into things because we like Malik, we like CJ, we like Evans, and now it's all of a sudden it's like now it's a 4 quarterback race.
And PJ. PJ
Five.
Haddock.
There's a 5 quarterback. To me, why is a quarterback from New Mexico State? Let's look into this a little bit more, Jay. Why would a quarterback from New Mexico State come into a team that already has their number one? This is where I'm thinking to myself, maybe we're not seeing something that GJ does see. You know what I mean? Because you're not talking to a guy saying like, "Hey, come to my school," if you already have your quarterback picked out. You know what I mean? Like, so adding another ingredient to this like recipe is I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
He only has 197 followers. Just followed him on the Squarin Around podcast. 198, Carson, you're welcome.
190. Well, I mean, Twitter followers doesn't mean anything.
I think it's a good gauge of like, because Malik has like 14,000, it's very well known.
Well, he played at SEC school, Power 5 school.
Played
The
at
alum,
or was on the team.
He played. He got some snaps. He has stats. I'm sorry. That's a fact. You're looking at me like I'm crazy. He got snaps. So I mean he played there. And also their entire fan base, a little bit bigger than Texas State. So that doesn't surprise me. I don't think Twitter followers is what you should go off of when it comes to like a guy's ability on the football field.
He completed 5 for 12 passes for 46 yards and a touchdown as a redshirt freshman.
At Arkansas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what did I say? He played? Did he play? He did? All right.
Played, I guess, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to disparage somebody who made a Power 5 SEC West roster.
He did take 81 snaps, so I mean, it's more than I've ever taken for sure.
Yeah, 81 more snaps than you.
Which is saying a lot because, as we know, we have official game day apparel right now. This is my Lane Hatcher jersey.
Is that we're gonna rock
incognito this week, aren't you?
Are you gonna rock that every single week that we do the podcast? Just pull the Lane.
I have so many now. Actually, I got a couple that I can go on rotation now.
There you go. All
right. This is not even my nicest jersey, just like from a quality perspective.
So concern level, adding another quarterback, is it just more the merrier for you?
I mean, I'm not concerned. Good for us.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
I guess if you're a quarterback who wants playing time, this would definitely not be the school that I'm like lower like mid-major in the Sun Belt. Like, let's go here.
So why do you think he's coming?
Well, GJ said in the spring game press conference that he's always going to bring in the best guy, regardless of depth or what they think their position is at.
Yeah, we're always looking to upgrade the roster, and that's one thing. When they hired me, they did a job. I got a job to do, so I got to put the best product on the field that I can. And we got some really good players, but I'm gonna continue to bring in good players. I think competition, is the key to success. So I like where our guys are at, but I'm always gonna try to bring in competition.
What they think their position is at. So I guess just having more bodies makes sense, but also for as much quarterback problems as Texas State has had, adding a little bit more insurance doesn't seem to hurt at this point, to be honest.
That is true because there's a real chance here that Texas State might have 3 of their best quarterbacks they've had over the last 10 years. So I'll take it. You know what? Maybe I'm being a nervous Nelly. Maybe I'm being a worry wart here.
But here's the thing.
5 quarterbacks is a lot of quarterbacks to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that just to me makes me a little concerned.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Because they're all like, I mean, I haven't seen anything from Carson. I just saw his tweet. Literally just added it to this rundown. Could be some random guy for all I know. That's why I don't really report on commits, because it's like anybody can make this graphic. Here you go, Texas State. Like,
I don't know. I feel like if we've seen cases of that happen before in college football, where a guy will be like, "Well, I'm committing to this school," and all of a sudden you have like a strength and conditioning coach reaching out and being like, "Actually, I've never seen this person. I don't know who this person is." A head coach being like, "Yeah, whatever. We never committed to this guy. We never offered him anything." So we've seen that happen before. I do not think that is a situation where it's happening here.
it's for sure par for the course. I mean, not necessarily for a Texas State thing, because who would lie about coming here, especially given the record in the past years.
Give it a couple years. Give it a couple years. I know
Did you have guys? This is my question to you. Did you have guys in high school that were like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go play basketball next year for insert whatever school, College of the Mines"? Like some school, it's like impossible to look up.
Oh yeah. If it's a directional school, that's why Texas State changed its name. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be a directional school. I was gonna add this. So you absolutely despise T-shirt fans. You hate fans that did not go to the school. Give it a couple years, and you're going to have a new breed of people that you can absolutely hate. The people who claim that they're going to go to Texas State to play football.
It's kind of like those guys that go to Blinn and then are like super A&M'd out, like, but just can't make the grades. They can't actually go to A&M.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, and then they're all Aggie fans, so it doubles the fan base. We need to have that. Yeah, Blindergarten, you're right.
The next player we actually talked about a little bit is the defensive lineman from Duke, Christian Rory, and he was at junior day, picked up his, I guess, commit, or he just announced basically on Twitter that he was going to commit to Texas State after the junior day. Right after the spring game, we got 2, or I guess 3, 4. My bad. I have this ever evolving list.
Not 1, not 2, not 3.
Well,
got you.
4. Yeah. Well, I guess you could count Carson in that like group after spring game. Post-spring game hangover. Sean Holton, wide receiver from UIW. And Bray Walker, that's the 5-star I was talking about. That's another bounce back from OU. Now we have 3 OUs, like guys who used to be on their team. Josh Eaton. Marcus Alexander, he's another offensive lineman. And Todd Crosby. Todd Crosby. Can't read.
I love you just reading names off at me. Cool. Like I said, I'm all for it.
I liked a tweet from Ish the other day. It was showing basically like Texas State's offensive like scheme. It's like the Fortnite just building.
Oh, GG.
Because they have to reinvent this whole deal. As you were saying.
Why? Why do you have to reinvent anything?
Well, because it wasn't good before.
But you brought half your roster from UIW.
No, it's only 3 guys, though. You got to have more than that in the rotation.
Oh, for the offensive line?
Mm-hmm. Especially if you're trying to run something super high tempo. Imagine 300-pound plus guys running all over the field.
We're not running anything super high tempo.
I don't know, man.
I've bought into this before. I bought into we're gonna run an old new playbook. Nope, I'm not buying it. I'm a doubting Thomas. Prove to me. Show me that it's gonna work. Show me that you have like a high octane offense. Before I'm like, oh, I can't wait. Oh boy, you know what I mean? Like UIW had a great offense. Period. But like that doesn't. I don't think that's going to work in the Sun Belt.
I was going to say it's gonna be May.
It's gonna be May.
But it's May already.
It's May. Yeah.
No, so I mean May, like, June, July, August. 4 months to basically get everybody back on campus. Go through spring or fall camp, I guess, originally. And then, implement the playbook, implement this. That's why, like, we're talking about that 5th quarterback now. Like, hey, man, that's kind of a little bit of a stretch. Picking up the offense as everybody else has presumably have already,
Allegedly. I mean, the other thing is that you potentially have the choice now, or the option to have multiple quarterbacks from multiple backgrounds. okay, so what did New Mexico? I don't know what New Mexico ran. I don't know what Arkansas
Couldn't
State
tell
really
you.
ran. But you end up with a situation where there's a bunch of different quarterbacks with a bunch of different experiences, and now it's like, hey, when we're facing Troy running a 3-4 versus Southern Miss running a 4-3, okay, well, this is what this quarterback can give us in this different look, and they can kind of all help each other. We saw that happen with Brady and Tyler Vitt. Talking about those guys, they said like, hey, when we're in the room together, it's like, hey, this is what I'm seeing. This is what the safety's doing. This is what this corner did. Hey, I remember playing this guy in high school. You know what I mean? So it's a room full of guys that can kind of help each other out. That is, to go back to the quarterback point, that is a pro to that. The offensive line, I'm not really all that concerned. When you say that you're building something from scratch, I understand that GJ has a tough road to hoe, to be completely honest. Like, I mean, it's a year one. I do think that the presumption that you're starting from square one, oh my God, this is so bad. He's bringing a lot of the guys. He's bringing a lot of the coaching staff. He's not having to teach a coaching staff. This is the system. I think that it's further ahead than people are giving him credit for.
I also think, I guess kind of talking about like a multiple front issue is like if you brought just one of those things, just like consistent coaching, that would be considered a win in most cases because it's like, well, it's kind of like the system is built. We prefabricated this whole thing. Then you talk about bringing his like recruits that he had kind of in queue at UIW and some of the best from UIW. That's also another success. Alone, that'd be great too, like compared to what Texas State had.
So that's why I think it's funny because I'll be talking out both sides of my mouth. I'll say like, let's be honest here. Let's look at it. We're bringing in all of this different stuff, and at the same time, still say 6-6 is a success. 6-6 is incredible. That is where if we hit that, that's an amazing mark. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm asking for a 500 season. At the same time, I'm saying if you don't have a 500 season, kind of I'm not saying disappointment, but 4-8. I mean, I think people would be really disappointed in 4-8 again.
Oh yeah, I would be very surprised. I guess I wouldn't be surprised. I've seen it happen, But
yeah, but you'd be disappointed
if there was so much momentum, and we're talking about baseball. Baseball is cooking again, bringing all that momentum from the spring into the summer. I think there's a lot of things that have to go right for spring ball, and then to have a successful fall for football is like you have to stay healthy. Number one, you have to get the right commits at the right time. Number two, you have to stay consistent across the board with not half-assing, apparently,
I
which
don't
is
want
an
to jinx
issue
it.
I didn't understand Texas State had.
I don't want to jinx it, but it's funny how healthy Texas State comes out of the summers. For as much stuff as there's to do in Austin and San Marcos, and it's funny that we always come out of the summer okay, which is, I think, a testament to Withers and Spavital, because there wasn't anything like crazy happening. There wasn't like a, hey, did you hear this guy got busted for this? Or, hey, did you see this guy twisted his ankle at the river? Like, there wasn't any of that, which is really good. Like, that's a really good thing. It always happened during the season. We'd have the injury bug. You don't want the injury bug ever, but it's funny that we don't get it during the summer.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Testament to those guys, I guess. So I guess we're talking about the impact of the transfer portal. We're talking about all these commits. We're talking about all these transfers. Is there a bubble to this whole portal deal? Is there like what's the reason? I guess Carson Kaiser would come over here. Like, what's the reason? Any of these guys who were kind of like also rans at another school would go to Texas State, either for like a different look for the offense or defense, or like what's the real issue? Or I get not even issue, like specific thing.
Why do you think we're getting these commits? Is that the question?
Yeah. Well, I guess like an over influx in some parts, and then like maybe like I guess Texas State just shoring up more insurance, basically.
I think it's two-part. I think part one is the fact that GGA is a new coach. I think that he had, and also a new coaching staff. I think there's some guys on the staff that being the offensive coordinator or the running back coach at UIW versus being the offensive coach at not a Power 5, but like a Sunbelt school. I think that the Sunbelt in some circles, in like we'll call them normie circles, is kind of underrated, right? Like if the guy that just watches College Game Day and watches the best game of the night, like the game of the week, like that guy doesn't know how good the Sun Belt is. But guys who play college football, guys that know ball, know the Sun Belt's really, really good. And I think that you get some of these guys from different schools, whether it be group of 5 schools or a backup at Power 5 school, and they look at Texas State and they go, I like that campus. I like that area. I like this coach, and they haven't won anything. So that means when we do win something, we're going to get other looks. And, some of these guys might be 1 or 2 year guys that have another year of eligibility. And they go, all right, I'll be at Texas State for a year, 2 years, and then I'll be a grad transfer and go to a Power 5 school and potentially maybe play for a title, I think that's kind of where it's at right now. The Texas State could be kind of, hopefully, a middle ground where you're the best player or on one of the best defenses in the conference, you win the conference, and then all of a sudden you're playing at Clemson or A&M or Alabama or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's kind of where Texas State could be. We don't see that happen a lot, though, in the group of 5. There's not a lot of guys who are at Troy or SMU or Southern Miss who are really good, and then they go, okay, well, I'm going to go play for Texas, or I'm going to go play for somewhere else, Oklahoma. Like, you don't see that a lot. I think Texas State could be kind of a factory for that, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I guess coming from this region specifically too, it's like now UTSA is kind of like that power vacuum. People are, players, coaches. Poor
But
Jeff Traylor
the
was the grand marshal for one of the big Fiesta parades over here.
Who
Same day,
cares?
one of his big wide receivers announced he was going in the portal.
Who the fuck cares? Like, who cares? I mean, if you're not in San
It's just
Antonio,
a lot to watch, I guess.
If you're not in San Antonio, Fiesta is just like another day.
Is it? No, it totally ruins traffic. You will know it's Fiesta.
That's what I'm saying. If you're not in San Antonio, it's just another day.
Oh, if you're not there.
Yeah. So, I mean, like Jeff Traylor being on a Fiesta float. I love Fiesta. Don't get me wrong, but like, I don't.
What is it? Like 75% of the population in Texas lives in San Antonio, Dallas, Austin, or what's the other one?
I imagine Fort Worth.
Houston. There you go.
Houston. Yeah.
No, I already said Dallas. That's like DFW Metroplex.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, I don't think UTSA is getting these prospects, though, are they? Are they getting these commits?
No. Well, that's kind of what I wanted to say too. I think when your program is trending positively, you're going to get some of these guys who are like a net positive, like fringe positives. Like maybe they're not going to make a direct impact on the field, but like you were saying, they have a lot of experience and they have like a lot of good qualities, and they were just in a bad situation. They want to get out of it. And you get to come to Texas State, float on the river, work out, hang out with your boys, and maybe get a ring.
I'm telling. Well, knock on wood. That would be really nice. I think that Texas State underrated. The athletic facilities, not great. Like good, not great. The rec center, you're an alum of that.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. And some of the football guys and athletes just in general go over there to work out, and it's not bad facilities, all things considered.
Jalen Sheet, when he was going through that whole Danny Casper stuff, he would just work out at the rec, and I would see him just piece up guys on the court. It was awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, like that's kind of where I'm at too with it. Like I think that the athletic facilities at Texas State could be better. I think Don is doing a pretty good job of kind of setting up a game plan of like how to make them better. Student rec facilities are not bad. Things are okay. So I think that, yeah, maybe there is something to be said for that. That a guy comes here.
My dad will tell you, though, it wasn't always like that. There used to be, I think, 2 gyms or something. Maybe an old alum can correct me on Twitter or something. But there used to be a gym in Jackson Hall, bottom floor, I guess, where the washing room is now. And then separately somewhere else on campus. I couldn't tell you where. But yeah, it's come a long ways away. When they built that whole West Side expansion for Texas State, it's like leagues away from everything else. It was just like Texas State has all this land. Perfect.
Yeah.
Keep signing checks.
Yep. Jowers has a couple of basketball.
Jowers has a gym.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean things aren't bad. I continue to say things are pretty good.
Yeah. Well, things are so good. I think you were talking about the Sun Belt, right? Like the Sun Belt looking pretty good right now. It's looking pretty polished. We're talking about
Sunbelt looks really freaking good.
9 former players in the Sunbelt, and like 9 standouts, I guess, from Sunbelt in this draft class. So pretty good, not too bad.
Yeah, I would say, and the NFL draft is kind of hard to gauge. The NFL, if you're good, they'll find you. That's the old adage. The Sunbelt Conference consistently has been putting guys in the league, and even if not, and getting drafted is probably the highlight of your life if you're a college football player. It doesn't get better than that for a lot of these guys.
Don't tell your wife.
Going undrafted and getting signed and making it to a team, I think is even more incredible. Like the journey there is just so cool. Aaron Brewer is the one that comes to mind with the Tennessee Titans, where he was really good at Texas State. He was really good for the Sun Belt. We kind of didn't know what the deal was. We were hearing whispers, oh, he might get drafted, oh, he might not, oh, he might sign somewhere. He signs with Tennessee, and now, I mean, like, dude, it's been like 3-4 years almost that he's been like a consistent guy. So I mean, like, I love those stories, and the
And
Sun
Mayo
Belt has a
Man.
bunch.
David
Yeah,
Mayo.
David Mayo is another one. Where it's like the Sun Belt consistently has guys who go to the NFL and can make an impact either on a practice team or a guy that can get a couple reps in a game. And I got to mention my guy Tyler Bass, one of the best kickers in the NFL right now for the Buffalo Bills. That kid from day one has been lights out. Kicking in the NFL is not an easy gig, and he has been in big moments. And that's why I'm a Buffalo Bills guy. That's why I root for them to go win a Super Bowl, because I want my boy Tyler Bass to win a ring.
Bastard.
Georgia Southern alum, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's cool. The journeyman aspect too is kind of sick. That's always kind of the thing too. We talked to Brian London, he was kind of like one of those guys that was like, oh, UDFA, or you could go late, we don't know. And sucks that he was going through all of that during COVID, because he would have had such a different look. Because now Texas State has like 3 players actually going to the league, headed to different practices and camps and other stuff. That's London Harris, Nelson Mbansor, and Levi Bell.
Levi Bell was the one that I think most of us were thinking was going to have a shot. Where did he sign?
He signed to the Ravens.
Ravens have a very good program. They have a very good team.
I don't know. On his Twitter, it says USFL ? NFL.
Okay.
So I
Well,
don't know. Maybe he's still
USFL
making up his mind, but they signed to like this
pro football.
agency. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wish him nothing but the best. I like it when Bobcats are in the league. Bobcats in the NBA era, MLB too. That's one that people don't talk enough about. We've got a lot of guys who go to the MLB and doing some pretty cool stuff. Not only Goldschmidt, but there's a couple pitchers too.
Tristan's in the system for the White Sox right now. Tristan Stivers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Big Stivers. Best closer of the year last year. So yeah. That's why when people are like, oh my God, what's going on with the baseball team? Well, you lost one of the best pitchers literally in the country. So what the hell did you expect?
Hey man.
I didn't realize when you were talking about quarterbacks, I didn't realize we really just had to basically open up shop, like start anew, basically, So that's why they've signed 6 quarterbacks.
That's why they signed 5 guys.
They have Derek Mata. He threw the last quarterback in the thing. So that's the other quarterback that was even before Carson Kaiser signed, and PJ Hatter's coming in the summer.
It's there's a lot of guys. And I hate to when some of those guys leave inevitably, like at the end of next season, I do want to just say thank you for coming. We enjoyed your presence. We enjoyed having you around. I will hook my wagon to whoever's the best one, because I'm a slimy individual. But I wish all of you the best. May the odds ever be in your favor.
What's nice is that the Texas State saying that we have, once a Bobcat, so it's like, hey, no hard feelings.
Ain't no hard. Well, there's a lot of people who come to Texas State, have a couple good years, leave, hang out, come back, and we go, hey, you're 35, getting that undergrad, good luck. Once a Bobcat,
put on a UT shirt after that,
yeah.
Because if you came to Texas State 2 years, you're kind of just hanging out at the river, getting drunk, and then you go back and you're like, birds up, baby. It's like, screw you, man. What the hell is that?
Nah. I like it. It's a Texas State experience, Yeah. I came for 2 years, had a lot of good times on the river, a couple good times on the square, and
biggest Aggie guy
Yeah, no kidding. Tough stuff. I was named after the field. Really? Yeah. Cool. So we were talking about the amount of people who go to the pros. That was who are transferring out. That was the question, right?
Mm-hmm. To put that in perspective on a national level, basically.
Yeah. So assume 120 total players per FBS roster on average. Okay. Then in the 2022-23 season, around 20% of all FBS players transferred this offseason. About 20% of all FBS players transferred this offseason. That would be roughly, we're looking at around 3,200 players entered the transfer portal over the past few months.
A lot of guys.
Since the end of the 22-23 season, 3,200 guys. And I think about half of them came from the University of Colorado. So it's been rough. It's been rough for some programs. Not for Texas, like I said, not for Texas State, which is good. I like us not having those transfer issues. The other thing is, too, I'm very pro transfer portal, Jacob. I don't know if I've told you this before. I'm very pro if you don't like it, leave. I think that many managers probably don't like that. I think a lot of head coaches aren't super big fans of the transfer portal in that regard, where guys who get yelled at once in practice might want to dip. But all things being equal, I think that if you were not having a fun time, you should not do that thing anymore. I think that if you don't enjoy where you're at, you should leave. So.
Shout out to Sean Diddy Combs, who punched his coach or his son's coach.
Congratulations on your son. I see you posted a picture, 2 days ago that he's back to playing football?
Yes.
So, are you allowed to go to practices and stuff, or are you just going to
No,
stay away?
no, I'm not. As I know right now, I'm not allowed.
You can't talk about that situation.
You can't talk about that situation.
If you see him he almost reached for, I'm going to slap you with it. Something.
He's changing. You see, he's changing. The old Diddy might have did it. He's changing.
Let me sip my aqua hydrate.
Woosah, new Diddy.
Well, I was gonna say shout out to shout out to Sean P. Diddy, man. Good for him. Tough stuff. I don't know.
See him at his Met Gala look. It was Jon Snow.
Yeah, it was Sean. What are you doing, bud? Yeah, it's tough stuff.
No, it's a crazy, I guess, stat to put in perspective all this transfer portal stuff. It's like, well, yeah, people are going to transfer. It's not like you don't just go to college when you're a student athlete, you know?
Which is tough. So I was arguing with a friend of the podcast, Colton, today on Twitter,
really?
Which is something I try not to ever do.
I haven't seen this exchange.
I try not to interact and get into arguments, but they put out officially the 24
Hey, Carson
season.
Kaiser followed us back.
Breaking news. Here's the deal. Colton was talking about the expanded playoffs, which is going to help Group of 5 schools. I'm hoping that Texas State and the Sun Belt in general get a chance to participate in the college football playoffs now. The problem is now the college football season is 17 weeks because it's 4 rounds for the championship plus a conference championship potentially. So that would be 5 extra weeks if you win your conference, right? And you play in your conference championship game. I just found this thread of you guys. That is a long season. And when you say college athletes are not like just students, I like them to go to class at some point. You know, I like having my guy Brady McBride sit in front of me in my pop culture studies class. I like having the students actually be student athletes. A 17-week season is a long season. So I'm happy that we're expanding the playoffs. I'm not so thrilled that it's a 17-week season, all things considered, especially, and again, Dave Campbell's got to shout out high school football here. High school football in Texas is insanely long too. It's like a 16-week season. So there's a potential here. If you're a senior in high school, you can play a 16-week season your senior year and then have to play a 17-week season your freshman year. Now, granted, not a lot of freshmen starting on Power 5 teams, and those probably be the teams that are probably competing for a title. But damn, brother, that's a lot of games. That's
or
a
if
ton
you're,
of games.
You're Arch Manning, you go from your hoity-toity school that won a championship straight to UT. You graduate in the spring, which is becoming more common now than not. Is guys graduating in December rather than the May or whatever.
Famously, I got to shout out my guy Quentin Dormady from the Bernie High School. He played his senior season at Bernie High School. I think they got knocked down like the second or third round. He said deuces, got his whatever GPD or whatever online, graduated
gross domestic product.
Graduated high school a couple months early and was on the University of Tennessee campus as a 18-year-old, 17-year-old, and famously won hottest girlfriend in the SEC.
Wow, really?
So yeah,
I'll have to look that one up.
He was a backup for most of his career. I think he played a couple games for a CFL team. Not a very good college quarterback. University of Tennessee fans absolutely hate that guy, but he is a legend in the frat house. He's a legend with guys who have podcast mics. Shout out Quentin Dormady.
Bandera
No, Bernie. He beat
Bernie?
the
My bad.
absolute dog shit out of us.
Oof.
Yeah, but
The Bernie Greyhounds?
Yeah, game respect game.
We have a couple Bernie Greyhounds on the baseball team now too. So
Bernie's a really good, really good athletic program.
I think they went to state like twice.
I think they do athletics, football and baseball better than probably anybody else in the hill country for that size. I think they're incredible. So I'm a big Bernie Greyhound fan, even though that they are the rival of Bandera.
They canceled school this year because Bernie went to state or something too.
They're really good. Yeah, I was rooting against them
across sports.
Yeah, I was rooting against them in football because I was like, I don't want them to win state. They did, and they came in second, but it was nice. It was nice for them to get there.
Well, now as you've aged, I'm sure it's like, oh, anybody from that area of the state, I'm rocking with you.
Here's the thing.
You still have some
Fredericksburg was a school that beat the dog piss out of us. Bernie beat us all the time. Liberty Hill, I thought was going to kill me on the football field. That was one of those games you left and you were just like your head's pounding.
CTE.
Yeah, those were tough. Yeah, those were tough. I really do believe that my personality changed due to high school football.
Well, shout
out high school football, man.
Friend of the podcast, Colton McWilliams, thinks he's safe by coming on here a couple times, Oh, Zimmel hits him with the fact. Also, the fact that UGA and Bama would both be undefeated in a single game season, or single season. A lot of things got to go right for both programs.
Here's the thing, like it's he's talking like, oh, the team with the better record would host the SEC title game or whatever. I'll be honest here, because the Sun Belt does this now. Is that the team with the better record hosts the Sun Belt championship game? I hate that. I wish that we had a neutral site. I wish we could find a neutral site. Everybody seems to like Pensacola, so let's go down there. They don't have a stadium down in Pensacola, Florida. Make that the capital of Sun Belt.
The home of the Sun Belt, yeah.
The home of the Sun Belt, Pensacola, Florida.
Even though we don't have a school there.
Yeah, exactly. It's insane.
I guess even regionally, what's the closest school to that?
Georgia Southern.
Okay.
Statesboro. Maybe
McLean Baxley.
I think Statesboro. It might be Georgia State because it would be in Atlanta. Yeah. I don't know my geography of the state of Georgia. Forgive me.
I don't know my geography, period. My geography teacher in high school football coach, also put on The Amazing Race, and that's what we did.
That's tough.
That's tough.
Which hand's your left hand, Jacob, and which hand's your right hand?
L for loser. It makes an L. And the right one, you can't do that. So that's how you always know.
Okay. See, and that's what you learned from your geography class.
Yeah, you learn a lot of practical skills in high school geography. I guess that basically wraps up. That's us putting a bow on football for now. I'm sure there's going to be commits. There's commits out of our wazoo. Right now, hashtag Take Back Texas is on the road. And included in that new graphic that our boy Alex is pumping out is a train. So shout out public transportation.
Shout out trains.
Shout out trains. Trains, planes, and automobiles.
Good stuff. Shout out Alex. He texted me about the Vikings draft picks.
I didn't get to see him on the field. I was sad. I tweeted at him. He was like, "Where are you?" And I was like, "I'm not going down there. It's so hot." And then I finally ended up going down, I guess right before Derek Mata threw a touchdown. And then everybody was like,
"That was at the spring game, right?"
We got so many question marks now for a quarterback.
I did not see any photos of you with the fans of the podcast, so I'm kind of disappointed in that.
There's one I retweeted on our pod with our boy Creme Brulee.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's the one.
Brandon, I think that's his name, or Brian.
I can promise you, Bobcat fans, when I make it back down there, whenever that is, we will have photo sessions. You'll never not get to take a photo with the press. I will be available. I'm not scared of the heat like some people are.
I wasn't afraid of the heat.
It's too hot. I want to stay in the press box.
I should have just been on the field taking pictures.
Yeah, you should have been.
But I was so I gotta dial in. I gotta see the quarterbacks. I literally had the broadcast in my ear while I'm watching the game live, and I'm in the press box alongside
You're not
Colton.
special. You're not special. We all do that.
Do you?
We're teaching you sports journalism as you grow, Jacob. I'm very glad that you're now in this life with the rest of us.
Well, because in college I would just get up there, watch the game, and write about it. Easy.
I'll tell you. You're missing out there.
My process has changed.
So, okay, Jacob, here's the deal. I listen to the broadcast when I'm like doing the sports journalism thing, because sometimes Brant will say something that's interesting. You know what I mean? Like he'll give me a tidbit. So yeah, I encourage everybody to listen to the radio, listen to Clint.
Go into the game with your headphones.
Yeah, no, seriously, go to the game with the headphones and listen to what they have to say, because sometimes they'll have somebody that's interesting. Sometimes they'll have a guest, or they'll tell you something that you didn't know, and it's a good way, and you can slip that into an article. I personally never did because I was lazy and I'm not a good journalist like you are.
I guess that's why my process is changing a little bit, because I was forced to become a sports journalist. Famously, at the University Star, we needed a sports editor.
Put the sports in the bag.
Put the sports in the bag, Jacob.
You stupid ass.
Yeah, and I was just the odd man out, looking for an editor seat. And they were like, "Hey, do you want to be a sports editor?" And I was like, "Well, I like sports a lot, so why not?" And so that's kind of how I ended up as a sports editor. And then we changed that shit up, buddy. Turns out I was exactly what that section needed. So shout out Carrington. But yeah, that's why I think my process has changed so much, because I used to just go into the press box with a notebook, handful of questions, develop some more questions in the show, write quarter by quarter. Okay, this is like a very pivotal moment. We ran on our own too. Yeah, got to ask about that,
Yeah. Shout out to Kirk Bowles and Cedric Golden, because those are two of the best sports journalists around. There's
not many of them anymore.
I got to talk to those guys. They're great legends, and they kind of helped me learn what it was to be like a quote sports journalist. Now I would, to use the word journalist to describe me would be too kind to my career. I'm now an opinionist.
We talk about the quarterback room a lot, right? Now the media room at Texas State is Kef, Win Now or Get Bent crew with the producer Zach Webb, me, and Colton McWilliams.
Free plug.
I mean, it's just like that's basically make up the heart and soul of the media. Every once in a while, you have the Austin guys come down. That's like they cover honestly Texas State a lot more now than they used to.
You're welcome.
Tides, they are a changing.
You're welcome. I was able to convince our friends in Austin to come visit us more. I said, please.
You're like, wow, rent's getting really expensive. I live in Buda now. Might as well go shoot Texas State practice.
Please. Yeah, no kidding. It's like, hey, can you go down to practice? Well, it's 15
you live in Kyle,
away.
Right? Because you work in South Austin.
Pretty much. Did I ever tell you about the time I went to the Austin American Statesman to learn about sports betting?
Really?
Yeah. So I went, and it was an AP hosted event, and it was at wherever they have their it's wherever that newspaper is now. I forget where it was. But I went into their place, and it was really cool. And I saw Cedric. And it was me and a bunch of old sports guys from local papers. And it was about writing about gambling. And it was really cool. I was the youngest guy there. I was the only person who understood what a parlay was. So big win for me.
The pendulum of media swinging them. It's now it's newspapers are kind of very changed. A lot of them are shutting down or shuttering their doors completely. And so now it's TV is kind of the last bastion of true legacy media, And now it's guys like us in the booth.
You forgot one for the legacy media, dickhead.
Oh, my bad. It's just the janitor coming to clean you guys up.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, you're still in the room. My bad.
Fine.
On air. What does that mean? Let me walk into this door.
The little red light's on. Guess that means come in. Disgusting. You hurt me in ways no one else could hurt me.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Squaring around on the Republic of Football Podcasting Network. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.